To get the longest possible wear from my foundation and my overall makeup, this is what I do. The first thing I'm going to use today is SPF. Personally, I don't tend to use primers just because I feel like it's an additional step that I don't necessarily want. I want my base to be as hydrated as possible with as few steps as possible to reduce the risk of anything pilling or feeling too heavy under my makeup. And if you've got time, I'd let that settle for a moment before you carry on with your makeup. From here, I'm going to take CC cream all over. Now, to get your makeup to last all day, I really think it's important day by day to look at how much your skin needs. Today, my skin isn't that red, and so I've probably got about a pump of CC cream on here, and that will be enough for me. However, if I was having a really, really red day, I might use anywhere from 1.5 to 2 pumps. Now, whenever I say this, someone will say, oh, but you know, you'll go through your makeup that much more quickly if you do that. And don't get me wrong, you will, but I'm not saying to do it every single day. I'm just saying have a look each day. And if you need more on any given occasion, a tiny bit more of an application will make a huge difference to how long it's going to last you. Because as well as just generally the wear and tear of the day, for me, for example, when my area of high colour is redness, that's also quite hot to the touch, and the heat can impact how long your makeup will sit for as well. Now with what's left, I'm going to press the remaining coverage into any areas that I know are likely to have something shine through or that are likely to break up through the day. The one thing I would tell you above all other tips that you might ever get from me about your makeup is to use a really soft pressure. I am basically pressing this product on, and before when I was buffing it in, this brush wasn't really aggravating the skin as such, it was gliding over it. That tip about not using too much pressure is the number one thing that people feed back to me from watching these videos. I know it sounds like such an obvious tip. It's probably the equivalent of like someone saying to you, have you tried switching it off and back on again? But it is one of the most crucial, and that's why I never shut up about it. If you really soften your pressure, you'll be amazed that you're not moving the product around the face. You're simply locking it where you want it to sit. I am going to take a tiny bit of concealer today. I don't always do this, but if I'm looking particularly tired or I've got areas of redness, I will do it. I'm putting this on a smaller brush, and I'm just going to take this into the inner corners of the eyes. For me, there is absolutely no right or wrong way whether your concealer should go first or whether it should go foundation and then put the concealer on top. What I've kind of done today is had a look at the finished base, or what was going to be the finished base, and I just thought, you know, my eyes could do with a tiny bit more of a brighten there, so I've kind of treble shot what I was looking at to make sure that it's enough. And even that tiny bit of concealer I think has made the difference to give everything a bit more of a uniform, even skin tone. Okay, this is going to be as much of a revelation for you as it is for me. I never contour, but I've been contouring recently. Basically, I'm not sleeping the best, and some mornings I'm looking so tired, and what I've been doing is putting a really full coverage on and then thinking my face looks really flat, so I was using the contouring techniques to add a bit of life back into it. I absolutely love it. I feel like this is the new me. I'm going to be contouring every 5 minutes. I'm not doing a really severe contour. Let me show you exactly what I have been doing. First of all, a bronzer shade. I'm taking this through the hairline, just anywhere that the sun would naturally hit. I need to show you, never mind looking in my mirror. I actually went a bit adventurous and thought I'd contour my nose for the video, but let's just say we're buffing that very quickly out and removing all evidence. I think I ran before I could walk with that one. Now for the record, the sticks I'm using today, the Nudestix, have a little brush at the end, so if you wanted to use that, it's really handy. But I'm going to use my half Magic Beauty Baby Paw brush. This is a really soft domed brush, and again, instead of like rubbing product around, I'm going to push it in. So I'm kind of pushing upwards. With that stick, I pressed really gently so that I didn't lift off any coverage. Instead, I just kind of patted it into the skin. And a fluffy brush like this is great because it kind of softens all of the harsh edges, as you can see, but you're still patting the coverage on. It's like the best of blending as well as not lifting anything off. So bronzer wise, we're in the outer parts of the face where the sun would naturally hit. And as you can see, it's quite a golden colour. So whatever your complexion is, you would find a colour that's slightly more golden in tone to add this bronzer step. Now I'm going to go in with the contour shade, and this is more of a cool, natural hollow effect. And I'm not doing too much, but I just want to create more of a sculpt to my cheeks. Pushing upwards again. And then you can see we've got a bit more of a sculpt. I'm going to buff the excess off the back of this brush now, and then use some blusher just kind of through the high points of the cheeks here. And again with the soft brush, I'm patting this in rather than rubbing it around. And now I do feel like I've got a lot more life in my complexion, and I'm not going to do too much everywhere else. I don't want to lose any glow, but I do need a little bit of powder, so I'm going to focus on pressing just through the centre of the face. Just to say while I'm doing this, the quality of my iPhone and the quality of the upload on any social media platforms always reduces kind of how clear the video is. So this is going to look really incredibly blurring, and it is blurring, and it does soften the appearance of your pores or texture or whatever, but the quality of a video can emphasize the extent to which it does that. So keep in mind that it will make a difference, but it's not a miracle cure, and we all have texture, and it's really normal to see that on your face. And back to the idea of getting your makeup to last the day. For me, the powder step is really crucial on my complexion because I'm oily down the T-zone. I want to lock in all of that makeup and put a little protective layer in so that if that oil starts to show through, you've already combated it with something more velvety. However, I would always take my powder with me through the day and top up through the day. And I know for some people that sounds like a faff and it's not what they want to hear, but that is the difference between me leaving the house and my makeup looking like this by the time I've got trains, tubes, got home late at night, versus if I didn't put any powder on, it just wouldn't have held in the same way on my skin. And you'll also notice that I haven't touched the outer parts of the face. First of all, they're a bit more dry on me, so I don't really need as much velvety kind of finish in those areas. But second of all, it helps me to keep the glow everywhere else, but control the oil where I need to. To finish everything off, I would usually, rather than going in with any harsh lines, just take a lovely generous sweep of highlighter through the brow bones, along the tops of the cheeks, and just kind of soften the edge of that entire blusher and let all of this tie in together. This one is from Half Magic, by the way, and whenever I mention them, people have said to me in the past they love the look of the brand, but they didn't want to pay the shipping from America, but they've just launched on Beauty Bay in the UK, so if you've been looking at anything from them, they are here now. Next, I'm going to do a really simple bit of tinted brow gel. I grew my eyebrows out just before Christmas, and honestly, if you've been thinking of doing it, it's one of my favourite things I've ever done. It means that I can do my brows so much more quickly in the morning because they're just their natural shape. I don't really have to do anything to them. But also I really feel like when they're so fluffy, it just gives a bit more of a natural edge to any makeup. Even if I were to put loads of makeup on, there's this little element of it that's always quite like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because the brows are left natural. For low maintenance lips that you're not going to be worried about topping up all day, my favourite suggestion is to find a lip liner that closely matches your natural lip shade. For me, that's a kind of pinky shade all over. If you have lips where your outer line is deeper than your inner line, I would match the liner to the outer line itself. I'm going to neaten up the natural lip shade and kind of plump it up a tiny bit. That already, I feel like has really smartened up my lips, but it's not going to be really noticeable if it fades through the day because it's really similar to my lip colour. And I am just going to add a bit of a balmy finish to that with one of these NYX lip oils. And then the last one, if you find that your mascara prints above or below the lashes and that's the part of your makeup that isn't lasting, I want you to switch to tubing mascara instead of regular mascara. This is the one I always tend to use. It's the Clinique Lash Power. Although there are several great tubing mascaras on the high street as well. There is a L'Oreal Paris one that people always recommend to me when I mention this. I actually should have powdered those lids. Let me just buff out that excess product and run a bit of powder through them. Now the thing with tubing mascaras is that they're not very volumizing. So if you want like mega volume, lift, length, all of that, it's probably not the way to go. But But if you want to leave the house with mascara on and know that it's not going to smudge through the day and that you're not going to have panda eyes, it's the compromise that you'll make, that it's not going to be as volumizing, but one thing is for sure, it's definitely not going to move either. So instead of going out and getting anything new, I want you to take the products that you've already got, adjust the pressure that you're using with them, adjust your pressure when you add those additional steps, whether it's your bronzer, blusher, things like that. Set everything with something that feels good for you, whether it's a setting powder or a spray. And then crucially, in particular, if you have areas that you know your makeup just does not last, I would bring a powder with you or even a bit of your product and top up through the day if you need it. Then in terms of preventing your makeup from not lasting, one of the best things you can do is really treat your skin the night before. So for example, for me, I have really dry skin, so I'm going to use a really rich moisturiser in the evening so that by the time the morning comes and I'm coming to do my makeup, I've kind of preemptively treated the thing that is preventing my makeup from lasting as long. Another thing I would just add is that if it's specifically the IT Cosmetics CC creams that you want tips to encourage long wear from, I've got dedicated videos to this on YouTube and Instagram. So if you wanted to find that specific product, just feel free to type in those things to YouTube and it will come up under my name. Give that a try and let me know how you get on, and I will chat to you soon.